What up, fam? Chief X, the God best reincarnated with some old common sense science. So, I wanted to correct a bunch of bad rumors and misinformation. Okay? I made this video because I made a post a few days ago. And I said there are no mass amount of black girls all of a sudden coming up missing. Listen to my words. There's not a lot of all of a sudden black girls coming up missing all of a sudden. Right? And people saying you crazy. I said there's no fucking organ harvesting and people are not killing people and kidnapping people to steal organs. Oh, X, you crazy. Because people like that fear-mongering talk. Okay, now let me clarify and make this plain for people. Because when you read and research, you learn. You become informed. Okay? I kept asking people, where are they getting this number from? Where's the data? Where's the proof? Okay? Follow the number, people say sometimes. Okay? Where's this data? Where are people getting this number? Because I keep hearing 75,000, 69, 64,000, 65,000 black women are missing. It's just come up missing. I said, where this number coming from? If someone is quoting a number, they had to get that number count or that data from somewhere. Where did they get it? So things weren't making sense, and I kind of realized what's going on. It was a feminist behind it, starting this mass hysteria. But let me break it down plain. Fuck all that. What does this say right here? And this is where reading comprehension ruins people. The lack of good reading comprehension can cause all kind of bad rumors. Let's read this together. It says, there are 64,000 missing black women and girls in the United States. No one seems to care. Did it say that 64,000 black girls have all of a sudden come up missing? Did it say it's been a rash of kidnappings and missing women just popping up missing all of a sudden in 2019? It doesn't say that. It says there are 64,000 missing black women and girls in the United States and no one seems to care. What they're talking about is over the last decades of missing black women reports, most of them have been solved, but over the decades, there are still 64,000 missing black women. They're not talking about 2019 or 2018 or 2017, 18, 19 combined. They're talking about over a couple decades of reported missing black women in cases that were never solved. The original story and real story, without all the false stories you guys hearing, was started years ago. They're talking about the lack of attention that goes to missing black women. That's the story. The story is not a bunch of black women have been kidnapped and are missing and been abducted lately. That's the false story and the bad rumor that's been spread. We're going to get into how these rumors get spread and how it got spread. Okay? Most people reported missing persons cases, about 90% of them are solved. Okay? And they're solved, either they're found or they figured out they're dead and the case closed and they're solved. Okay? But over the decades, there are 64,000 missing black women. Not recently. So let's go. Let me tell you, and we're going to talk about kids. Let me first tell you how I'm qualified to speak about youth, runaways, missing kids, and things like that. I was a youth counselor for a decade, no exaggeration, 10 years. I got clean from drugs in 1993. Went straight to worked the job for a year and went straight to college, to LA Trade Tech College in Los Angeles. I did 2 years in what they call a PACE program. A PACE program is for adults who work full-time, don't have time to go to school like 3, 4, 5 days a week. It was a PACE program for full-time working adults. We went to school Wednesday nights and every other Saturday. And they just gave us a video we had to watch at home and do a few reports on. So every Wednesday for 2 years, from 5 to 10, I was in class. And every other Saturday. And got 60 units and up to transfer to a university. I started working at group homes. Let me tell you how I'm qualified. A lot of people don't know this about me. I started off working at group homes for boys. Badass boys. Okay? From there, I ended up getting a job at Edelman's Children's Court. Edelman's Children's Court in Monterey Park is in Los Angeles County. That is a dependency court. A dependency court is when when Department of Children and Family Services take your kids from you or get involved in your life for some form of child abuse or neglect. That's the court you go to. All cases in Los Angeles County of forms of child abuse go to that dependency court called Edelman's Children's Court. I was a legal assistant there for 2 years. I read thousands of cases. When an attorney, so I was a legal assistant contracted at that court, and they needed legal assistance to help the attorneys who worked for Department of Children and Family Services. So we worked for the attorneys who represented Department of Children and Family Services, whether they're prosecutors or defenders. If they say, hey, we need a subpoena mailed here and get a number here, that's what I would do. I would read all these cases. Hey, can you take this case down to this court? To this court right now. I run things in and out of court. I run files in and out of court. I'm familiar with the system and all the nuances of the system. Where kids go. I later worked at a homeless shelter in Hollywood. Hollywood, California has the highest youth homeless population. Los Angeles Youth Network was the name of the company I worked for. It was a homeless shelter in Hollywood for kids. All these kids in all these other 49 states thinking they can make it big and want to come to California and fulfill some big dream, that's where they go. They run away and come to Hollywood. That's why Hollywood has the highest youth homeless population. They want to rap, they want to do something, they run away, and they're considered missing and reported missing, and we take them in a shelter, and sometimes, depending if they're telling the truth or not, we'll have some anonymity for them. We're trying to protect the kids. So sometimes a family member might not even know their kid is there at certain times, depending on the situation. If they were saying, and we contact authorities and things like that, mandatory. I know the system in runaway kids and what goes on and reported missing. I'm qualified. Okay? I worked at another treatment facility for kids, level 14 boys who are too bad to be in group homes or foster care because they'll bust out the windows. Level 14 is a bad boy, all on meds. I know the system, medication, how crazy they are. I know the system well. I had part training, how to take them down, control them. I used to be in therapy groups. For all these 10 years working on all these different places, I was in therapy with master's degree people, their parents, counselors, therapists, and me, the youth counselor. Now, how did these rumors get started? Let's go. A 2010 study about the media coverage of missing children in the United States discovered that only 20% reported stories focused on missing black children, despite its corresponding to 33% of the overall missing children cases. So basically, the real story is, why isn't attention given to black kids when they're missing? Not that they're all coming up missing all of a sudden and a bunch of men is just prevalent. People are wrong and don't know what they're talking about because they do not read. This has been a long-standing discussion. They're talking about the disparagement in the percentages and how they differ and disfavor black people. And the lack of attention a black girl missing will get in comparison to a white girl. That's the story. Not that they're all... See, and what happened is people combined and conflated about 5 different issues and confused it, and now they're fear-mongering, making videos talking about sex trafficking, human trafficking. They're talking about organs. They're talking about missing girls, people getting abducted, sex slaves, and they mulching that all together and act like that's just happening to all these missing girls. It's a fear. They're fear-mongering, and they're doing more damage than good by doing that. We're going to get into the organ things if I have time, so my camera don't go off. Okay. So, let me continue so you guys can understand. Let's go. So, if you type in missing black children, or missing black girls, you'll get these pictures. These are missing black girls. A lot of black girls. And I'm not, it's a bad thing that they're missing. I have sympathy, but I wanted to get the facts straight. It says missing black cases go underreported, meaning not enough attention. They're nowhere on here is it saying it's been a rash of recent abductions and a bunch of missing girls. People got the story all fucked up. I know what I'm talking about when I made the post. You don't. I'm trying to help give you clarity. What did he say? Families of missing black Americans fight for media and police. They're talking about attention. For black girls that are missing, give us the same attention you may give a white girl. That's the fight. That's the story. How you guys botched it all up and these feminists got behind it, been making memes and pushing all this bullshit and misinformation is not correct. Listen, our black women and girls, our black women and girls have gone missing. Watch this. The Sentinel. Let's go to the Sentinel, see what the Sentinel says. Black girls continue to disappear, but few eyebrows are raised. Meaning attention. They're not giving attention when black girls go missing as much as attention. They're not saying an extraordinary amount of black girls have been missing lately. You can't find that nowhere. In fact, there's less missing black girls in the last several years than previously. I'll have to show you that another time. But it's come up again. So this old story is being botched up with all kind of shit. Okay? Let's just go next. Missing children. Have you seen our missing black girls? Missing black girls whose names we should all know. Let's click on that. So they got the pictures of the black girls, and this is sad. Missing. These are just children that have been missing over time and years that haven't been found. Okay? Now, real quick. Listen, family, just listen. Organ harvesting stories is conspiracy stories. Nobody is killing anybody to take their organs and sell them. Let me explain to you. Okay? It's like the story. I'm going to clarify something for you. Most of you guys don't know. 80% of people listening to me right now got this story all fucked up. 80%. Remember the story about the black kid rolled up found rolled up in the mat? Everyone pushes that story and says this black kid was found rolled up in the mat and killed and his organs were missing. You guys believe that story right now. This is all over. It's prevalent. No. When the black kid was found, he was found dead, totally intact, nothing cut. All his organs were there. Here's where the bad rumor comes in. They take him to get an autopsy to figure out the cause of death. To figure out the cause of death in autopsies, you have to take the organs out. sometimes, depending on the situation. If there's no bullet wounds or this and that, and you know this, you got to figure it out. Was he poisoned? Sometimes they take brains out to examine brains, your kidneys, and all your different organs. They take them out. You guys didn't know that. If you read, you'll be informed to know that. So they took the boy that was rolled up in the mat for an autopsy, and all his organs were there, and they tested him to figure out cause of death. And at this time, the organs are no good. So you can't sell no good organs to put in somebody because they're dead. When this boy was found, his brain's dead. His organs are dead and dried up. They can test them, so they can't fit in nobody and work. Stupid. So after the autopsy and all the testing, what they basically do is stick them in a little bag and throw them inside the body and sew it back up. There's no need to put pieces of the puzzles together. I don't know how they do it, but I'm just saying. The story was they put him back in his body. And he went to the funeral home. That's where shit went wrong. The funeral home director talked to them. But the boy was found with all his organs, so the story is false that people believe. Now, whatever the funeral home did, that's on them. Whatever they do, I don't know. I mean, you know, to me, I'm like, who gives a fuck about a putrefied ass, hardened up little ball kidney? I wouldn't give a fuck. It's worthless to me. Okay? Nobody can do anything with it. Nobody wanted his organs to give to someone else. They're no good no more. You guys believe the craziest things and don't know how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay? So, when someone has an organ people who need organs get them from donors, period. No one is killed and then they slit their body open because it's a medical procedure that requires staff. Not one or two people. It requires a staff. You got to monitor machines and images. You got to work in cahoots with another doctor. It's a team of people. And these people are not jeopardizing their life to go to prison for life because of some fucking conspiracy bullshit y'all want to believe. They're not risking their life and their job and their careers and holding some big secret all together for decades and showing because you guys want to believe some conspiracy. It doesn't happen. When you transfer, you have to immediately transfer things or store it in a proper way. You have to be in a hospital setting, not in somebody's backyard or basement. It's not a basement of doctors taking organs out of dead people. It's a procedure that goes down, and a way you have to do that meticulously, or that organ will not be no good or work anymore. So no one is kidnapping anyone and stealing their organs. There are no black girls who are sex slaves in the sense you guys are thinking. All missing, that's why I said 90% of missing people's report, those cases end up being solved. There are always about 10% that are not solved. And never ever has any black American child, listen to my words, no African American child, when the case was solved or she was found, has ever said she was a sex slave. There's been a few rare cases where a person was kidnapped and they solved it and they found some white people had done something to them. But I'm saying there are not a rash of black girls being taken and being put on a sex slave market. Like y'all be saying, like this sex slave market. They kidnapped there's a bunch of all this old fear-mongering shit. That never happened. There may have been a sicko who kidnapped somebody and raped them and held them hostage. Those things can happen. A sicko can kidnap somebody and hold them hostage. Those things happen. But when you're talking about sex slaves, as in you're just being trafficked and sold around, that's hyperbole and exaggeration, and it doesn't happen like that. The word human sex trafficking has become a fusion of different things. Like a pimp and a hoe. He's sex trafficking. And a lot of these hoes have been street girls already who met a pimp and got some direction or whatever, however, excuse me, or however they do it, but she's classified as being human trafficked, for sex trafficking. But the way you guys are conflating and mixing and fusing stories to fearmonger is all wrong. And it doesn't happen like that. Okay? You find one black American girl who said she was on some sex slave market. You can't. And they found thousands of black girls who've been reported missing. Hundreds of thousands black girls have been reported missing over the decades. None have been in any kind of sex slave market. None. Now it happens in different countries and things could happen, but a lot of those things are exaggeration. And you guys haven't really read the real story. Okay? So people are fusing human trafficking with missing persons reports, with organ harvesting, and then on top of that, a bad rumor story about a bunch of black girls missing lately. The story is about black girls over decades, that 65,000 haven't been found over the decades. That's the story. You guys got the story botched up. Everybody's posting videos all around and making memes and doing all kind of shit and fusing shit. I know what I'm talking about. I'm giving you guys clarity. So my post was correct. There's not a bunch of black missing girls all of a sudden missing. Actually, the stats are low. Let me show you. Because let me see. Is that it? Let me see. Is this the story? Let me just finish reading down here. Hold on. No, that's not the one. Here's another one. Here's what actually... Oh, wait. Okay, here's a good story. This is how it happens. What does this say? Here's what actually going on with the missing black girls in D.C. And this was a story in 2017. And this is how it go viral. A viral Instagram post inaccurately claimed 14 girls went missing in D.C. in 24 hours. But the number of black people missing across the United States is staggering disproportionately. So an Instagram post went viral claiming that 14 black girls in D.C. became missing in 24 hours. These are the stories that you guys are believing it did not happen. They're talking about... Okay, let me go. The growing callous calling for action comes from D.C. police began a new practice of publicizing missing persons flyers on Twitter in hopes they could be located faster. Police have tweeted 20 missing person flyers since March, 10 of which for minors, which has led many to believe the number of missing persons has dramatically increased.